Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. We are not inside Eford Studios today. We are remote, but we always thank our friends at Empire Properties, and we always thank our friends at Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. I could not do what I am doing today from the home office without a super awesome Copiers Plus Ethernet cable, Joe. I had to unplug it from the printer real quick. I couldn't find my other one, so I'm like, well, what do we got? I don't have to print anything during the show, right? So super, super cool, fancy Ethernet cable making this thing happen, Joe.
I couldn't sit outside and give you people the ambiance and atmosphere of this snow day properly without my Copiers Plus mug. So here we are, thanks to our friends.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking outside and I'm seeing kids sled down the street. I'm looking at, because the way my house is situated, it's down a hill. So also makes for really, really good sledding. And I'm in here doing a podcast because we are dedicated to you, OG listeners, to make sure that we provide you takes. And certainly Carolina helping us with the take machine. You knew this was kind of this was like scary hours for the Tar Heels to go to Winston-Salem to play a fired up Wake Forest team, 9:00. You know, the juices were flowing, or at least I thought it was going to be the case. There are a lot more Tar Heel fans in that building than I initially thought, given how Wake is kind of turning things around this year. Pretty audible Tar Heels chant that was breaking through that I could hear from the TV, but that still wasn't enough to fire the Tar Heels up. Elliot Cadeau starting out hot was not enough to keep things going. And Wake Forest came out at halftime, dotted UNC on, I think, a 12-0 run. And from there was kind of ugly back and forth, hanging on kind of stuff. But just all around ugly basketball, which has been the trend for the Tar Heels in games like this, Joe, where nothing seems to go right. It turned the ball over a ton. And credit to Wake, yet another player stepping up, in this case, Cam Hildreth. But I know all eyes are on Carolina. What the hell is wrong with them?
Yeah, this is another one of those Jalen Washington regresses back to the Jalen Washington that he can't be in order for North Carolina to be successful.
Yeah.
And I get there are some foul issues there. I get there are some matchup issues there. And Lubin is playing better. Van Allen Lubin is playing better. But ultimately we said there were two really key parts to what Carolina needed to happen this year. Jalen Washington needed to take a big step, and Elliot Cadeau needed to take a big step. I thought for the first 25 minutes of this game, that's about as good as Elliot Cadeau can play.
Yep.
And then, the reality is there are things that Hubert Davis has to do to hide him and RJ Davis on defense that he doesn't do. And that's on him. That's on Hubert.
Yeah.
Dean Smith would play a 1-3-1 zone. Dean Smith would play, some trapping defenses. He would full court press. I would like to see this team press some more and use some of their athletic bodies that they have. And I don't quite know why we're here in January and Hubert doesn't experiment more to try to figure out how to make this a better mousetrap. Now, this is a 1-point loss, ultimately, right? I mean, it was probably not really that. There's two garbage threes in the last, 30 seconds.
But isn't that the issue? It's all these tight games.
Right. And that's where you as the coach have to make adjustments. And even if it's just for, Elliot Cadeau ends up playing 39 minutes. RJ Davis plays 38 minutes. Well, to be creative, go to a matchup zone, go to a 1-3-1 trap, do some different things. And I get it. They probably work on those things in practice and they probably suck at them in practice. And then he says, for being serious, this is a lot of coaches gristle when people like me say, hey, just play zone. Yeah, and it's like, well, yeah, we thought about that, asshole, and we do it in practice and we suck at it. So that might be the truth serum answer to what he would say if he was on this program today.
Yeah.
But he has to figure out how to be more creative in how to hide them. I thought, God bless Corey Alexander. He was surprised. He's like, somebody was down in the post. One of the guards, it was Ty Johnson, the Louisville transfer. He's like, Ty Johnson, down in the post. I didn't expect to see that today. Well, fucking Corey, have you watched Carolina at all this year? Like, every coach in the league is going to try to post up either Elliot Cadeau or RJ Davis with their bigger guard. Like, well, I mean, come on, man.
The other thing, too, that's got to be driving Hubert Davis nuts, and we'll talk to Brendan Marks about this from The Athletic in just a second. Let's take the Ian Jackson dunk, right? Spectacular.
Oh, wow.
You knew that ESPN was going to be right on top of it, comparing it to the Cooper Flagg dunk a couple weeks ago. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did. Fine, whatever. It's okay. It's okay. It's all about the marketing for the rivalry and blah, 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 blah. But and again, different situations, but if you want an indication of where Carolina is right now and the constant refrain of it's the little things, what happened after that Ian Jackson dunk? He dunked the ball.
Nothing really.
No, Wake Forest turns it around and scores.
Yeah.
It's like they're all sort of, and I know Jones Angel brought this up on the broadcast. Credit to him. He's kind of like, yeah, they seem like they were in awe of what Ian Jackson did. Why wouldn't you be? But you need a little bit more attention to detail so that 2-point dunk, again, it's just 2 points, but it's an energy changer, right? You just can't be like, oh, wow. And then all of a sudden Wake Forest goes down and scores, So it's those little things that are a problem. And when you look at Carolina statistically, it's kind of like how we've talked about State. You look at them statistically, you look at KenPom, and they're just a very average team right now, which is A, not what Carolina fans want. And B, if you are an average team, well, then something's going to have to break your way. Turnovers didn't help. Shooting percentages didn't help. I've been saying this all year. They have to be like perfect offensively because it's not like they're really creating a lot of opportunities because of the rebounding and the turnover margin and everything else. They're just kind of an average team. And average teams lose on the road like this. Good teams go out and win. So that's kind of where we're at with Carolina right now. And I'll just keep saying this, and I have to be consistent with this kind of stuff. College basketball, I'm with you on this, Joe. It is a year-to-year proposition. We understand that. And things can kind of click for you all of a sudden. It's one thing when it happens at NC State. I think Carolina fans, though, are getting a little tired of the wait and see. They want to compete on a night-in, night-out basis and actually look like a contender, arguing what seed they're going to be rather than wondering, hey, man, are we even going to make the tournament? I know that's kind of a thing right now as to whether or not they will or they will not make the tournament. Big thanks to our friends at Keller Williams. TriangleNCCommercial.com is the website. You can call them directly at 919-616-8681. Joe, these are the times where we need like a snow bunker type situation, right? I don't know. Sometimes it makes me rethink about where we're at. Maybe you're rethinking about your supplies, where you keep all your stuff. That's where our friends at Keller Williams Commercial, the Donnelly team, can help you out. Yeah,
Brian and Julie, they're on it. Fix your work situation. Get yourself in the best space possible. Give them a call, 919-616-8681.
Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, he is Brendan Marks from The Athletic. And Brendan, I think Duke is the only Triangle team that's happy right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't understand how anybody else possibly could be at this point. Happy's in the eye of the beholder, but my goodness, it's a low bar, but we're still not clearing it.
I mean, clearly Wake Forest is happy too. They're happy to pull that thing out last night in Winston-Salem. And I'm gonna phrase it to you. I don't know if you were in the Joel last night or watching on TV like me, but I thought it kind of is. It's an indicator of where we're at with Carolina basketball, where ESPN went out of their way to almost embarrass Hubert Davis by having an isolated cam on him just for his animated reactions to things, right? And it illustrates two things. It illustrates kind of where we're at with Hubert, where he's very, very frustrated. And also, kind of an issue that Carolina's had all year. We talked to Andrew Jones about this yesterday from Tar Illustrated. You need that energy to match the opponent. And they have not been consistent matching that energy, game in, game out. And when Hubert's trying to generate that energy for you, when you've got veterans like RJ Davis or Elliot Cadeau, who did his best at the beginning of the game, that's not a great sign for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the solo cam on Hubert Davis and basically in-game explosion that he had. I mean, I had colleagues and, I actually had an agent text me during the game.
Oh, okay.
Hubert, chill. But I think the fact that is so easily perceived, and again, ESPN didn't exactly hide the fact, but it's a really good reflection of where not just this year's team is at, but I think kind of where Hubert is at. Okay, this is now year 4. We had one magical month, one terrible season, one good season that ended with a terrible game. And in year 4, I don't know if North Carolina fans or even internally, if North Carolina feels like it is any closer to having the long-term stability that it needs. Certainly this year's team, I mean, we've gone on and on and on. The lack of the bigs, the inability to defend, the inability to rebound. That horse has been dead. We don't need to keep beating it. It is what it is. It's fatal roster construction. They've still only beaten one NCAA tournament team in UCLA. To me, if I'm a North Carolina fan, my questions at this point are as much about like, the guy I saw on TV last night does not look like he's having a good time in his job.
No.
And that is where, as a North Carolina fan, my focus would be starting to turn to.
Well, to be fair, and Joe, you can back this up, it's not like Roy Williams looked like he was having fun on the job sometimes too. I mean, you go back and look at Roy when he took the job versus where he was at the end. That hair went from gray to straight white. You know, that's just kind of the nature of the job. And Roy would show his frustrations too. But there's just something, I feel like everybody's just gripping really, really tight in Chapel Hill right now. And they've been gripping tight for the entirety of the 4 years from the beginning. And everybody's just waiting. It's like a bizarro Kevin Keats situation at NC State, where it's like everybody's just using these losses to stack their case to saying, hey, I was right about this guy. And he's kind of in a no-win situation outside of winning a championship.
Right. Well, here's my thing about Hubert. Like, I hear North Carolina fans, and Theo Pinson, was very vocal on social media this week saying, look at the guy, what he did last year. Like, how can fans be calling for his job?
Yeah.
Let me be clear. I'm not calling for Hubert Davis's job. The difference between Hubert and the frustration and the exasperation that we saw, not just yesterday, but that we've seen all season. He's tired of answering the same questions. Still people relitigating the offseason and the transfer portal. The difference between him and Roy is that even though Roy was frustrated at times, I never doubted until the very end that this is what Roy Williams wanted to be doing.
Sure.
And we're getting to the point where I wonder, like, you're Hubert Davis, you're 55 years old. To me, short of winning a championship, you've already accomplished what you're going to be remembered for as North Carolina's head coach. You beat K twice. Short of winning a championship, like, why are you still doing this? And he doesn't look like a guy who is enjoying what he's doing right now, or a guy who let's look at the roster too. RJ Davis is not back next year. We don't know who's going to be back, if anybody, off this year's team. I mean, if you're lucky, you're getting one or two guys back. The future does not exactly look like, hey, Hubert, hold on, in 6 months, help's coming. Like, no, it could get even worse. So for me, that's the difference. Like, Roy, yes, he was temporarily frustrated, but he always came back to, I'm enjoying it. I'm here for the kids. He found the love. I see Giglio's losing his mind. I can't wait for this.
Joe's got that face. He's kicking that face. You're watching on YouTube. Joe's got that very Giglio signature look on his face.
Brendan, how old are you now?
I turned 30 this year.
Oh my God. You're making me feel so old. Oh my God. Your first comment though got me. This is a guy who covered State for a long time now. I love your first comment. Well, that's a dead topic. We've beaten that into the ground. Sir, tell me you've never covered a bad team before in your life. Tell me you've never been on the beat of a bad team and you've had to rewrite the same story over and over for an entire football or basketball season before. Please tell me. No, without telling me.
Not wrong. It's more me personally. If I get one more random yamoke in my DMs asking me why UNC didn't sign, insert big man name here, I'm personally going to lose my mind. But you're right. I mean, it's just a mid basketball team.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for the laundry, we wouldn't even be talking about them.
No, you're right. I'm sitting here thinking about, like, well, wait a minute, Brendan, when were you covering the Panthers? They were actually okay when you were covering the Panthers.
I covered that fun little 3-year window when it went from, hey, maybe they can make it back to the Super Bowl to, oh, this is done.
And then you got out. I mean,
and then you got out.
Yeah. So Joe's onto something here. All right. Speaking of Joe, moving on from Carolina. Joe wrote about this on OG Fans. So go to OG324 to go subscribe today. And Giglio, I understand where you're coming from in terms of the monster in college basketball. But Brendan, I know you're watching a lot more national basketball now. And this is in relation to Duke, whether or not Duke is a quote unquote monster. And I look at the rest of college basketball, I am wondering if there is even a monster out there right now. I mean, I know Danny Hurley can go out there and talk about how he's the best. He's going through it right now. I'm the best coach in college basketball. Like, buddy, chill the hell. Speaking of chilling the hell out, are you having fun?
Yeah.
Hurley's certainly not looking like a guy who's having fun. But, you see John Calipari at Arkansas. That's not going real well, right? That's not panning out the way that they thought they were going to pan out. Kansas has kind of been dealing with it a little bit. Auburn is like the number one team in the country, but we just saw Duke handle them at home. Now, I get playing at home is different than playing on a neutral site, but I'm just kind of looking at the general landscape, and I am wondering if there even is a monster out there for college basketball.
Yeah, I don't know that there are 3 teams, in my opinion, that are a leg above everybody else in the country. It's
Okay.
Auburn, Duke, and it's Iowa State. Even though Iowa State lost this week, even though Auburn doesn't have Johni Broome, those to me are the 3 clear-cut best teams in the country. Offensively speaking, Auburn is on track, even without Johni Broome, to post the best adjusted offensive efficiency in KenPom history. So, we're talking better than 99 Duke, better than 2015 Wisconsin, better than 18 Villanova, like that sort of offense. So, yes, I'm there. The health thing with Johni Broome is a factor, but otherwise Auburn should be viewed that way. Duke is doing the same thing defensively. And John Shire even said earlier this week that he wasn't pleased with the way that Duke's defense has performed of late. Not exactly like they're getting tested in the ACC. But for me, when you combine that with the strides that Cooper Flagg has made offensively, and the fact that he's hitting 30% or 50% of his threes after starting out making under 30%, I don't know that Duke is unbeatable. I think if they have one of those bad shooting nights on a neutral court, I think it's a lot closer than what we've seen in ACC play. And then the last one is Iowa State. So, is there I know I've seen a lot of talk about Duke and going undefeated in the ACC and trying to be the 3rd team in the modern era to do it. I think that's possible, not probable, possible. I don't think that says that Duke is a monster. I think that says that the rest of the ACC is, 2 feet tall. But I don't know. Those 3 teams to me are clearly better than everyone else. But, if that fits your monster description or not, I don't know.
I just look at it. You can't be the monster if you have the 2 losses on their resume that they do, right? I mean, they've basically played 4 games out of the league that matter. They're 2-2 in those games. A monster is 4-0 in those games, or is 3-1 with a loss where the other team was on a sun run and made 23s. Like, that's what a monster is. I get mad at Duke people because they get mad at me because they look at me like I take crazy pills, or I'm like this crazy hater or something like that. And I'm like, I get it. And I've never sounded older, but you weren't there when Corey Maggette took off from like 1 foot inside the free throw line and dunked on the entire Florida roster. And Billy Donovan's wife turned around and was like, is this guy even human? Like, right. What in the world? And Elton Brand was a dominant force. Okay. Cooper Flagg is a really smart, good, all-around basketball player. He's not that, though. And I don't understand why my old brain is seeing this, and these youths are like, yeah, but he blocked Anthony Davis's shot, and he dotted him from the corner. And people are mad at me about Maxim Reynaud. It's like, well, he was on the French national team. I bet you if they could release some highlights of him against Wembanyama, maybe you would think about it a little bit differently. I don't get it. I feel like I'm crazy over here, Brendan. At 30, am I crazy? You're 30, I'm 50. Am I crazy? Am I the crazy one?
You're not crazy.
Okay.
I'm probably the crazy one. To me, I think the better comparison for the way that Duke feels right now is not like 99 Duke. It's almost UConn 2 years ago. Where UConn came out of that period, I forget how many it was. I think it was 5 losses in 8 games in January. And from that point on, it was like, oh, get out of the way. Like, they're coming. And I know they were a 4 seed, and in the tournament, like, people probably didn't, think they were going to become the buzzsaw that they were. That's how I feel about Duke. Like, the beginning of the year, this was not a good offensive team. There are times when this is still not a good offensive team.
Yeah.
For as singularly dominant as Cooper Flagg can be, and he can go and get you 25 and nobody, even looks in his direction. Like, if it's not 42, we don't care at this point. Offensively, there are still some things for this team to work out. Defensively, I don't think there's been a ton of slippage because they're playing, again, they're playing in the ACC. But, like, that Illinois game to me at the end of February, that's the game that I'm looking ahead to, because that's the one where it's, okay, this is a Big Ten contender. This is another team that has the bones of making the Final Four. Now that you've had all these months of season, and going back to your point, Giglio, you were 2-2. You had the late mess ups against Kansas and Kentucky. The Kansas game, Dickinson's out, and you still can't get it done. If you can't get it done against Illinois, then at that point it's like, okay, what was the value of all that? But for me, I do think that Duke reminds me of UConn 2 years ago, where it's like, okay, Malik Brown's coming back. Cooper's starting to make shots from deep. they look like there could become in the next month or so a train coming down the tracks.
I do think they're going to go. They're going to go through the ACC undefeated. I just don't see. I mean, I'm trying to think who on the road is gonna pop them, And I get,
it's Clemson on the road, Wake on the road this weekend, and Carolina on the road.
But the difference, of course, the difference too is what we've seen out of Cooper Flagg. And I'll say this about Cooper Flagg: I'm not in disagreement with the overall comparisons of Cooper Flagg to some dudes that have come through before at Duke. I'm not going to question that because I'm also in Joe's case of being old and I've seen some like legitimate. I mean, heck, the Zion thing's the easy comparison. But the one thing that Cooper Flagg does that a lot of schools around here lack, in that what you can say about Cooper Flagg is that he is not scared. He has zero issues getting after it. And I think Duke has not had, you talk about Wake Forest. They can go to Wake Forest and lose because Kyle Filipowski was not that dude. They thought he was going to be that dude in year 2. He was not that dude in year 2. I can tell you right now, Cooper Flagg is that guy. And while he might not light it up, he might give you some stat lines that are impressive. I don't doubt for a second that on the road, he's going to have a moment that puts the energy back. Like we were just talking about Carolina and the energy and matching the energy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, sometimes you just need a guy to get everybody else going. And I think that might be what's been lacking at Duke that Cooper Flagg brings.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference between him and even I would say even compared to like a Paolo. Like Cooper is the guy who sets the tone. Here's one for you guys. And, we're talking a little bit with the historic lens here. I will say this about Cooper. And I don't know if people have fully realized this yet, but even since Duke pivoted about 15 years ago now to one and done, really leaned into that strategy, we still have not had the golden goose. We have not had the guy who checks every box, who is National Freshman of the Year, award winner, Final Four most outstanding player, wins a national championship, goes number 1. We still have not had the golden goose. And I think it is entirely realistic that Cooper Flagg is that guy this year. I think all of those things can come true. And if that's the case, I think the standard for one and dones at Duke right now is probably Zion. If he does accomplish all those things, like I do think we're talking about a situation where maybe Duke is retiring a one and done jersey, which is why
the difference between Cooper Flagg and Zion, though, is the fact that there is no question as to who the ball is going to go to at the end. And that was always the issue with that Zion year in 18-19. In that
there shouldn't have been a question.
There shouldn't have been a question, but for some reason they were insistent on RJ Barrett getting the ball late.
Fucking Canadian.
And I've never freaking understood that. It's like, I mean, I get what you thought it was going to be like when everybody got here, but at that point in March, that's not what it was. And that there's no question this year when it comes to Cooper Flagg. No question at all.
Right. And he's already been, and listen, John's already given him the ball and said, go do it. And he didn't do it.
And that's why, Joe, to your point about the whole Kentucky thing, we have to recognize it's the long game. I mean, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. When it comes to Cooper Flagg, we are speed running this entire thing. We are speed running a 4-year career in the course of 1. So you'll take that loss against Kentucky. You'll take that loss against Kansas because these are viewed as growing pains. Like, here, where are we on the development of Cooper Flagg?
Yeah. Unfortunately for them, it's a zero-sum game. But like Brendan just said, like either he does all of those things and pulls a Tyler Hansbrough and puts everything overwhelmingly on his resume where you have to sit there and go, okay, you're one of the best to ever do it, even though there were limitations to your game. Or they lose. I'll tell you who they don't want to see. It's Pitino. I'll just tell you that right now. They do not want to see Pitino because that's an older team that is going to just beat the shit out of them and treat them like Tennessee did 2 years ago. Those are the kind of games. I actually texted this to Steve Forbes today. You're in full JJ Redick protocols, I believe, with Duke, with Cooper Flagg. You want to go crazy, Cooper Flagg? Awesome. You ain't going to beat me though. Because it's Kniffel who's going to beat you. It's Proctor who's going to beat you. It's Malwatch who's going to beat you. It's the spin the wheel of Duke roulette and which freshman's going to make 5 3-pointers off the bench who's going to beat you. Not Cooper Flagg going for 40. That's not who's going to beat you. So you're in the full JJ Redick protocols, in my opinion. Unlike that Redick roster, though, I trust those other pieces more because I do think Kniffel is the real difference maker here. And remember, in the Kansas loss, he did kick to Kniffel. which I thought was a LeBron-esque kind of play. I like that play. I don't mind that play at all. I do think it's unfortunate for him that he's kind of in this zero-sum game now, because I want to be clear. His effort and his production, the consistency of his effort and his production is far beyond any freshman. Forget the 17-year-old, 18-year-old thing. You just don't see freshmen be he is a true pro in his effort and his consistency. And there's not a single Duke freshman I've been able to say that about, to be perfectly honest with you. So I think people get confused when I talk about him and the McRoberts comparison, as if McRoberts' production was some sort of evil. He's tracking right on the same numbers. I said he would make one or two more 3-pointers a game. And guess what? That's what he's doing. The one other game I look at, Brendan, you mentioned the Illinois. I think we all agree on the Illinois, and that's next on the list. But the one I also look at is, if you're a monster, we've seen this time and time again in this rivalry. When you're the true monster, you go into the other guy's house and you put it in their ear. Like there's no in-betweens. There's no 2-point win. It's 20, and you're letting everyone know. You're announcing your presence with authority. So I'm looking for that game, the one where they go over to Chapel Hill. I can be convinced by that effort as well.
We saw that in 22.
I was going to say, in K's last year, he was like, okay, this team is making the Final Four.
Right.
Right? And then obviously the reverse happened, but like that game was not close. I mean, 3 minutes in, that game was over. Armando Bacot picks up 2 fouls. Pelham cares eating him on the block. AJ Griffin had like 6 threes. We're done.
Yeah.
AJ Griffin.
But no, I mean, here's where I'm at with the Cooper Flagg thing. He made. I'm here.
There, you're back.
Go back with, here's where I'm at with the Cooper Flagg
Here's
thing.
where you're at with Cooper Flagg.
Here's where I'm at with the Cooper Flagg thing right now. He may not be Zion in terms of the highlight reel plays. He may not be the physical, overwhelming specimen that Paolo Banchero was, where it was like, this is a grown man already. He may not have like the all-world handles and the sizzle that like Kyrie did. But from a tone-setting perspective, he is the toughest guy in that locker room. He is the hardest worker in that locker room. He is the one who gets after everybody, and he's doing it at 18 years old. And when your hardest working player is also your most willing defender and is also your like most dedicated get in your ass guy, that to me is what's the difference with Duke this year. That's what's different from the Paolo team. It's what's different in some ways from the Zion team.
Yep.
Cooper Flagg is that guy. And even if he doesn't have it some games, and you've talked about this before, Giglio, Cooper Flagg is not a 42 per game kind of guy. He's a 16, 8, and 7, and 3 guy. And that, to me, allows Knipple to be who he is. It allows Proctor to be the 3-point shooter. So, yes, we may have the J.J. Redick rules for him, but that also, it kind of plays into the way he likes to play. He likes to kick it to other guys. I think they could do it. I really do. I think they are good enough to win the national title this year.
Brendan Marks, The Athletic. We appreciate the time, as always. Even if you're a baby, we will.
Yeah, go be young, man. Go be 30. Go do some shit while you can with that physical fitness.
I should go like sledding or something. I should be so jovial and youthful.
Go drink, smoke some shit. Go tear it up, man. Just go tear it up. For me.
Giglio, we can have a joint 0 birthday party.
Yes.
30
yes.
and 50.
Right.
And my son James is 20 this year, so all the zeros.
I don't know which of those is the most disconcerting.
No, it's the fact that James is going to be 20. That's actually the thing hitting me. Like, gee, I thought I was in my fields earlier because my neighbor is out there with his little toddler going down the hill on the sled. I'm like, man, I feel like that was yesterday. I was doing that with Caleb and Jacob, and now they're just moody teenagers.
Right.
I was like, man, I remember that back in the day. Where'd that all go? It goes by quick, man. All right, Brandon, we'll talk to you later.
See you guys. Thank you.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Inovana for sponsoring Housekeeping. They were at the house yesterday to get it nice and clean just in time for my kids to track in a whole bunch of snow and dirt.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Inovana.
What are you laughing at?
They were at the house yesterday.
They were at the house yesterday. They were here in 2 weeks.
They were.
Yeah, I mean, look, you might have to call Nirvana for a one-time cleaning. You got your kids tracking in all sorts of stuff from the sledding. Hey, man, get that deep clean with our friends at Nirvana. But Monty Jones is going to be here in a couple less than 2 weeks. We've got the basketball Jones. Tyler Hansbrough is going to be in the house. Marcus Ginyard. We've got Lavelle Moten. We will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. We might have access to things. I'm seeing if I can turn something around pretty quick. I don't know. We'll see. Just something to keep an eye on. Might have access to some stuff, but keep an eye on that. Rialto.com is the website. Speaking of fun and frivolity, we got Sully's Golf and Gather on February 5th. You can come and hang out if you want. It's cool. If you just want to hang out and drink with us, by all means, let's go. But if you want to participate in the long drive and closest to pin, Joe, what do?
Send me an email, giglio.joe@gmail.com. Reserve your spot. Great response so far. We're going to have 3 bays for 2 hours.
Sweet.
So basically, we'll get there at 6. We'll be there. We'll be done by 8:30. We'll have some cash prizes for that closest to the pin. And the long drive. Don't forget the long drive. And then we'll do the normal OG shenanigans. Don't forget. We'll have your 13 wood. We'll have a putter out there. We'll see what we can do. It's always kind of fun. So come out and hang out with us.
And I tell you what, I know I can have access to things by February 5th. Just saying.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
You can have some access
to
February 5th.
So hit me up, giglio.joe@gmail.com.
We're going to be at Breeze Through tomorrow for, no reason other than there's a hockey team right across the way that's playing a game. We got baby Blantons that you can drop by.
No, this is the one we're going to give away.
That's the one, the baby Blanton. That's the one.
21 and over, obviously. But one listener, this is a baby Blantons, if you can't see. Thanks to our friend Ken. This is also has the letter A. So if you need an A,
that.
Yes. No, I know it's a thing.
I know it's
the cork. The top is an A. So if you need an A, that's what we have here. This is the one we'll be giving away Thursday. Breeze Through. We'll be out there starting at 5:00.
Perfect.
Okay?
So we'll see you at the Breeze Through. I will be in some home field apparel while we're at the Breeze Through because it's cold outside. In fact, I am doing today's show since I'm at home. I'm actually doing the show in my home field sweatpants. I am not.
Nice.
I'm not going to stand up because then I'd have to mark the YouTube video as not safe for work. So just know that I am wearing the sweatpants. Okay. And they're super, super comfortable. I might not want to go outside because I'm so comfortable in these sweatpants. But you can also put the hoodies on as well. Fleece line, they're fantastic. You might not be thinking about ice cream right now. Why wouldn't you be? I get it's cold outside, but it's always time for Two Roosters. Check out tworoosters.com. February is cereal month.
Cereal, it's ice cream. February 1st is ice cream for breakfast day. So for the month of February, Jared will have all cereals.
Yeah.
You pick them. They got them. All great stuff. You ready for this? For the grab bag this month, the super secret Pint of the Month Club that only I'm allowed to join.
What do we have?
Well, one was the Functified one was maple bacon.
Okay, that sounds good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the other was Prosecco celebration cake. Yeah.
Prosecco celebration. That sounds
celebration
Italian alley right there. I like that.
Yes.
We still got to come up with an OG flavor. I'm still convinced we should do some sort of coffee cannoli or some sort of guava with cannoli bits.
We want people to like it. I don't know what this guava is, but
dude, guava. Have you never had guava? Because my dad
maybe has like a drink.
My dad will give you a slab of guava with some cream cheese because that's like how you get diabetes in Cuba.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he's all about it. But I'm thinking more
it's
of like,
it's not the cafe con leche.
No, it is not. It is not cafe con leche. It's eating because my grandfather would do this. He would just get a slab of guava and throw it on top of a slab of cream cheese. That's how he would get
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. Big thanks to our friends at Hometown Realty. Check them out, myhtr.com. You might want a house on a hill so you can sled every 5 years. Well, Hometown Realty can help you out on that. Check them out, myhtr.com. Maybe you need to come up with a contract with your kid about making sure that they don't hurt themselves while sledding. Maybe you are managing an entire group of 13-year-old hockey players and you have to point to their contract. You cannot get on top of a monster truck and wash it. like some baseball players did in the past. So stay safe. Now, all jokes aside, if you got legal needs, attorneys and counselors at law, our friends at Whitaker and Hamer can take care of you. So check them out, wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. Joe, it's my best Stugotz. Dan, it's my favorite time of the year, Joe. It's Baseball Hall of Fame time, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody gets all mad about Baseball Hall of Fame, and baseball can't get out of its own damn way because the headline this morning, and honestly, I would not have known that the Baseball Hall of Fame was even going on last night had it not been the announcements of who's going into the Hall. The fact that Ichiro was not a unanimous selection for the Baseball Hall of Fame on his first ballot. Why? Now I sound like Seinfeld. Why are these people the way that they are, Joe? You got to unmute your mic, bro.
I know somebody decided to use their leaf blower for maybe their car. I don't know. I was trying to save you some background.
Honestly, that's actually what it was going on. I bet you that person was trying to blow leaves or blow the snow off their car.
Snow off their car. I don't know.
What is this? Anyway,
I thought we broke this barrier with Mariano Rivera, and now it was safe. Now it was safe because Ichiro was such a one-of-a-kind, prolific hitter, not only in the majors, obviously, but before he got to the majors as well. It was a complete and total no-brainer, as opposed to my second favorite part of the Athletic email that I got this morning about the Hall of Fame vote, which is closer to, if I could dust off some of your old radio takes, if I could get Joe in radio mode from 2013.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I saw this paragraph and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm reading the Athletic polls. This is the newsletter that the Athletic polls out. And for the record, the Hall of Fame class includes Ichiro, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner. That's it for the class. Classic baseball getting
Sure. Billy Wagner is in the Hall of Fame, but Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens.
You're actually hitting
free steroid numbers. Yeah, sure.
You're hitting on the real issue that's taking place here. But yes, here's the blurb from the Athletic that cracked you up and made you think about me and peak truth bombs. Hall of Fame mode. Sabathia was a no-brainer. He earned 86.8% of the vote, well above the 75% threshold. His resume speaks for itself. In 2007, Cleveland Cy Young Award winner. 2009, Yankees World Series champ. Also, was also a Hall of Fame teammate. As Brendan Cuddy wrote today in a great story, Sabathia was a unique character and one of the game's best pitchers. Kudos. Oh, we're getting into nebulous teammate territory. Got it.
Great teammate, great character, i.e. he was great with the media who handles the voting.
There's that. And Sabathia,
he certainly has.
He wore his hat too, so that was cool. That was a cool look, right?
Listen, when we were growing up, there were the numbers for Pitt. Well, first of all, the beauty of the Hall of Fame back in the day was there was a set of numbers. You made the Hall of Fame. You hit the numbers. You got there. Even if you were Don Sutton and you got to 300 in like your 80th season, you still got there, right? 300, 500 home runs, 300 wins, 3,000 hits. These were all like standard benchmarks. Got you into the Hall. I get it. That and the standard has changed for the better for pitchers in particular. I get that. But you can't sit here and tell me you're putting CC Sabathia in because he's quote unquote a Hall of Fame teammate and unique character, and then have someone like Curt Schilling, who obviously you don't like for his political views and for whatever other reason, you don't like him. He wasn't nice to you and all this other stuff. Curt Schilling had fewer wins, but a better ERA, more strikeouts, and a better WAR over the course of his career. And obviously, Curt Schilling was part of an iconic part of two world championships, one with the Red Sox, one with the Diamondbacks in 01. That one kind of raised my antenna where I was like, oh no, please don't do this. And if it was like
he had the iconic moment. I mean, you got the bloody sock, dude. I mean, come on.
Right, part of one of the great comebacks in the greatest comeback in the history of sports.
Even if it was, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I still don't. That doesn't bother me. The way that he pitched in the game is what actually matters.
Yes, that's true.
One of the most pressure-packed starts in the history of the game.
Of course.
This is not Julian Edelman putting up great numbers in the postseason and trying to make some sort of case to make the Hall of Fame. No, this is a guy who really belongs. And unfortunately, personality was introduced, even in this blurb that this person wasn't even thinking of. I just read it and saw it and thought, oh man, Ovies in peak Adam and Joe days would just be beside himself, hitting the bombs of Baghdad right now.
I would be doing that because I insist that baseball gets in its own way when it comes to this kind of stuff. And this is such a classic sports talk radio segment because you can just dust it off. You can go, just like we used to call it Dimitri's binder of radio bits. I mean, this is up there with going to a Mount Rushmore if you want to, right? Your Hall of Fame.
I was going to say,
or Pete
Mount
Rose.
Rushmore of Hall of Fame. No,
right. I mean, it's all so you can do that. And when it comes to baseball, it's exactly this. And it comes to the reason why they're in their situation and they're involving these players that make you go, wait, what? Is because they're so cowardly in how they're handling the PED era. It's as simple as that. The voters are cowardly. The Hall is cowardly. And they're trying to make some overall point. I don't know if it's because of they're trying to absolve their own role in the home run chase and their own role in accepting what happened with steroids and not really questioning, to your point, who you like and who you don't like, who was nice to you, who wasn't nice to you. That plays a factor. And that's just not in baseball. That's also in the NFL too. Because I was thinking, the NFL isn't perfect, but I always feel like the NFL gets it right. It's just as political. However, they do force you to put people in the Hall. And it creates log jams. Like that's what's happening with Torrey Holt. That's what's happening with Steve Smith. There's a log jam of guys that are in front of you, and you have to get in that pecking order. But even in the NFL, and we've talked to people whose job it is to present cases for these Hall of Famers. And oftentimes it does come back to, well, were they good to talk to? Were they good with the media? Were they dicks? Yes. Well, then, I'm less inclined to do it. And that to me is ridiculous. The Hall is not filled with nothing but nice people. The Hall is filled with all sorts of characters, for heaven's sake. And I'll just dust off the radio bit. I will dust off the take that is an evergreen. Baseball Hall of Fame is a museum. What do you do in museums? You tell the whole freaking story. Tell the whole story. And that includes performance-enhancing drugs. Sorry. So you have to get over yourself and include Barry Bonds. You have to include Mark McGwire. You have to tell the story of baseball. And I don't understand why this is so hard to just put it on the damn plaque, for heaven's sake. You're mad at Barry? Fine. Put it on the freaking plaque. Get a lawyer to phrase it in a way that would not bring about a lawsuit. I don't know why this is hard. Tell the freaking story. But that's where we're at. Now, here's a baseball story that's right up your alley, Joe. Also from The Athletic. I'm just going to read directly from the newsletter. We got Paul Skeens, right? Is Paul Skeens already a Hall of Famer, Joe?
I double taked on their transition. I was like, how many pitchers have had like one good year and then their arm like falls off their body? This
is the transition. Buddy. You know who's already on a Hall of Fame track after one season? Pirates pitching sensation, Paul Skeens. Chill on that. It's early, but if you can maintain health and velocity, there's
if only.
If only. Just go be Clemson. So apparently, there was a 1-of-1 edition of his Topps rookie card. It was unearthed by an 11-year-old. This is from The Athletic. The card is enormously valuable. The Athletic's Larry Holder told me, the writer of the newsletter, it could fetch $1 million at an auction. The kid could take that or accept this offer from the Pirates, Joe. 2 season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years. A softball game for 30 people at PNC Park, and a meet and greet with Skeens, a chance to warm up with the team, an autographed jersey, and quote unquote other experiences. Here is how they phrase other experiences. Skeens' girlfriend, the LSU gymnast and social media star Livy Dunn. Wait, I thought Baby Gronk rizzed her up. What happened? Baby Gronk and Livy Dunn are done? Anyway. Also, Livy Dunn said she would offer her suite to the cardholder if they took the Pirates' offer. You taking that, Joe?
What was the second offer? Pirates season tickets for 60 years?
Right. For the next 30 years, Joe.
Talk about a special kind of torture. even after taxes, you're probably clearing $550 on the sale, man. Come on.
I was gonna say you can get $1
I'll
million.
go buy my own fucking Pirates tickets.
Right?
Are
For
you
$1
kidding?
million, can you not just go buy your own season tickets? Like, there's no way on the resale market you're ever gonna make $1 million back on 30 years worth of Pirates tickets, unless they make the World Series. Multiple times.
Is there anything less enticing than 30 years of fucking Pirates tickets? You can only make this offer to an 11-year-old, by the way.
This is true. This is true.
Another person would be like,
What if it was season tickets to your favorite, like any team? You get the Steelers too. Throw the Steelers in there. And Penguins tickets for 30 years. Unbelievable. We're losing Joe.
you get 30 years of the worst franchise in Major League Baseball.
Who says no, man? Who says no? Big thanks to DraftKings. Check them out. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG24. If you do, new customers who use that promo code will get $200 in bonus bets when they bet just $5. It is playoff times, folks. You know, you can look at the officials and, be like, clearly they're out to help Patrick Mahomes, right? Well, you know what? If you feel that strongly about how the Chiefs get the benefit of the doubt, well, maybe you can look at some things at DraftKings. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's touchdowns, right? That's the easiest way to go about it. Scoring touchdowns is fun, number one. Number two, also easy to place for your first bet. Anytime touchdowns, you think Patrick Mahomes is going to do X, Y, Z. So go to DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Make your picks. And new DraftKings customers can bet just $5, and they'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you use that promo code OG24. Again, that's OG24. So bet $5. You'll get $200 in bonus bets when you use that promo code. It is DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Big thanks to Roback. Joe, you going to sit back down, bro? What are you doing? You want to talk about Roback? Let's talk about Roback, shall we? What are you doing? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
I need to go get my cramps. Hang on one second.
Oh, are you dealing with cramps right now?
Yes.
All right, tell you what, you deal with cramps, and I will talk about our sponsors, our corporate champions. So you go.
Okay, I'll take my ears out and I'll mute.
Yeah, mute yourself while you work out those cramps. Yeah, man, we called it at the jump. He's turning 50, so he's dealing with cramps. Poor Joe. Poor Joe. Roback, look, man, you want to be comfortable. It's cold outside. You want to be sitting by the fire. But you still want to stay warm, right? May I suggest their pants? May I suggest their hoodies? They're fantastic. You'll absolutely be just chilling on the couch next to the fire, sipping on whatever it is you're sipping on. All thanks to our friends at Roback. Use the promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Big thanks to our friends at Happy and Hail. Maybe you're going to venture outside. Maybe you're going to work up a sweat with all the sledding. You need a little pick-me-up after that. Go to Happy and Hail. The Almond Brothers smoothie is fantastic. My kid loves the strawberry banana. That's a great way to pick it up after you've been outside sledding all day. And they make it super convenient for you by using the app. So download the Happy and Hail app today. And that way you can sign up for goodies like a free smoothie on your birthday. But more importantly, it's about saving time. You can order on the app and get out there, and they'll have it ready for you. So big thanks to Happy and Hail for being a corporate champion.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hail.
Now, speaking of hockey, the Canes have won 3 in a row. Folks, it's going to be okay. It's gonna be okay. And maybe with Freddie and Peter Kochetkov back in that tandem, it'll especially be okay, right? Brett Bird's still digging deep at his old age. I know he's had some adventures in the last couple of games, but yeah, we've seen that. So the Canes pulled it out last night. That's always good to see. Hopefully people can start chilling out when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes. Maybe you want to chill out on your home and auto. You're trying to get costs down. That's where our friends at State Farm can help you out. Matt Davis, give him a call directly at 919-779-8277. Or you can go to the website, insuregarner.com, or you can just hit up theoginsurance.com. All thanks to our friends at State Farm. Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority, you can bundle and save. Bugsbite.com. I know you're not thinking about mosquitoes right now because there's snow on the ground, but you can start thinking about your spring and summer plans for mosquito control and save on your inside house pest control. Like I said, it's so cold that we had a mouse visit us the other day. Our friends at Pest Authority can handle that sort of thing, as opposed to my cat, who just decided to sniff it and chase it rather than getting rid of it. So, yeah, call the experts that are not cats. So go to bugsbite.com. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe. Let's dust off the OG sports phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, we got a call from an 828.
Joe, you said Monday that Carolina either had to beat Duke or sweep Wake, Pitt, and Clemson to make the tournament. You finally able to admit that Carolina fans have been right for an entire month, that we just are not good enough to do what we need to do. Fire Hubert. Thanks. Bye.
Well, that was short and to the point.
Yeah, that result last night was not good. I admit that. I admit that.
I mean, I got this from Twitter from Davis. Are you sure UNC is revving up? Update? Yeah, it was in reference to a YouTube title, podcast title. I mean, because the Tar Heels have won 4 in a row. And my argument at that time, to be fair, and I've remained consistent with this when it comes to the Tar Heels. Do I think that the Tar Heels can beat good teams? Not necessarily. There'd be tight games. They have to play perfect in those situations. But are they talented enough and good enough to beat the rest of the average to below average teams in the ACC? Yes. But that obviously over the course of the last 2 games not appear to be the case. And look, this is not taken away from Wake Forest, who, your Deacs, Joe. I mean, we talked to Steve Forbes last week. They got some talent too, man. But I think it's the way Carolina's got about that business that is driving people absolutely insane. All right, from a 704.
Hey guys, it's Paul. Well, Carolina played a 1-possession game and lost. Man, haven't seen that movie this year. Side note, do Dave Clawson and Steve Forbes get together and play with their Dave Doran and Hubert Davis voodoo dolls? That would sure explain why both those guys suck against Wake Forest.
Wake continues to be the thorn in people's side, man. The thorn. All right, this is from a 540.
Hey guys, it's Ben from Bull City Coordinators calling in. You Duke fans who were calling in to just curse Giglio out for his Duke takes, don't do that. I mean, look, Duke's on a historic kind of stretch right now. They're playing great. It's a heck of a season. Just enjoy the season, guys. Come on, just enjoy the season. But if you do feel compelled to call in and make a point like that, and I get it, sometimes you have to, you got to do it a little bit classier and just do what any classy gentleman would do. You just call in after each Duke win and say, scoreboard, motherfucker. And that's it. All right? Also, I just got to say these NFL playoffs be a lot better if we could see Patrick Mahomes throwing bombs to Tyreek Hill. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, keep up the good work, guys, and let's go Duke.
That was well done, man.
That was good.
Hey, man, you earn them sometimes. You know what, though? I'm in the take business, okay? You remember those 2 takes, right? Okay. Well, there we go.
Well,
that's all I'm going to say.
Hey, what was it? I got from Ramar on Blue Sky. If Duke isn't a monster, then how did they win at Louisville by double digits?
Oh, double digits. Yeah, 11. Come on, Ramar. Come on, man.
Hey,
Come on.
look, on the road, Louisville's a
Come on.
feisty team that under Pat Kelsey looks pretty good. I'm just saying.
That was a good win.
It
That was a good win. But 11 is not the same as, come on. Yeah, come on. If you're a Duke fan, you know, come on.
This is from a 919, another North Carolina call.
Hey, Bubba. It's me again. I'm sorry, man. I know I bothered you a lot during football season, but we've got another problem on our hands here. I don't know what you think is happening with the basketball program. And, you know, I really didn't want that to muddy the waters of making football better. They're really mutually exclusive, despite, I mean, I'm sure Ovies is jumping out of his chair about this, but they really, really are. I mean, one begets the other. We all saw what Alabama did to our basketball program with their discretionary throwaway funds from football that they just kind of, you know, push over the basketball. So you did the right thing, and congratulations to you for it, because you got to do it. I mean, you know, you got to be pretty enough for them to invite you to homecoming when homecoming happens. However, this shit sucks. You're constantly getting beat on, like, set plays, like out of bounds plays on the same plays. Hubert is a nice guy, and we all know what happens to nice guys in this business. I think this has probably run its course. We just, you know, need you to do the thing. Again. Sorry about that.
I guess the question is, does Bubba actually get to pick his coach this time? Okay. We're on what, 3 in a row now? When it comes to Bubba and
Come on.
and Revenue Sports right now?
Come on.
What are you come oning?
Come on. We almost made it. Almost made it.
Oh, it gets better from a 919.
Oh, no.
All right, guys, we have to address the elephant in the room. Multiple people have called talking about how Kevin Keats cannot call a play out of a timeout to save his life. And you guys have pushed back talking about how last year, I don't remember anything last year where we really needed a play drawn out of a timeout when Kevin Keats came out with it and you said, wow, that was brilliant. At most, if it happened, it was feed the ball to DJ Burns or let DJ Horn create for himself. He's not an X's and O's guy. He's not a half-court offense guy. He never has been a half-court offense guy. He is a run the game fast break points, steals, turnovers, turn into points. He is not a let's run a set offense. It's not in his wheelhouse. And it shows very clearly on the plays that he calls from timeouts. He should let the guys just run through and play and stop pretending like he can draft up these masterclass plays. It's not who he is. It's baffling.
You thought you were going to make it this far, Joe, to a podcast without another Kevin Keats call.
Now, I will say this. I do think there is some validity to what he's saying about I would prefer they're going to run the Iverson cut out of the timeout. So just set it up, and you don't need to call a timeout to set it up. Let it go. There is some validity to that. The rest of the call, though, you either got amnesia or you just whatever. I'm not gonna justify the rest of that call.
This is from a 336.
Giglio, you said it earlier this year, late last year, that Keats would be stubborn if we didn't see it. Something to that effect. Well, his stubbornness to not learn from last year's success is going to be the equivalent of the lottery winner pissing away all of his fortune in a year. I just don't understand. Don't get it, but each their own. Go back.
I guess that's where I've seen this sentiment floating around with NC State. And I don't know, it might be more of an OG mailbag conversation. By all means, you can call the sports phone and consider this an OG sports phone prompt for the OG mailbag on Friday.
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
I guess the question is, did Kevin Keats use the ACC championship and Final Four run to give himself, I mean, because he was as good as fired at the ACC tournament, and things happened, and it wasn't working up until that point. So you then get to this epiphany, right? The epiphany being, all right, am I going to use this opportunity and this extension on this job to adapt, to do, all right, here's my second chance. I have to reassess everything of what I do because, man, it wasn't looking like it was going in the right direction. Or do you go, see, that's proof of concept. I was right all along, and I'm going to double down on that particular thing. And I think that might be the frustration that's coming from NC State fans, in that it seems to be the latter, that the things that put NC State in a position to not make the NCAA tournament last year, that put NC State in a position where Kevin Keats was seriously having discussions about his job, and we were having them and trying to contextualize them, that all that was an opportunity that is now lost, and you're just right back where you started back on the Tuesday before last year's ACC tournament. And I think that's probably the frustration. If you're looking at it from the state perspective. So
yeah, I could see them being frustrated. Yeah.
That's a prop for the mailbag. All right. This is from the YouTube comment section. I think Herb Street's sons do play for Ohio State. I've lost track of how many kids that guy has. So
yeah, he's got like 20 at Clemson. So I don't know how many of them he's got on Ohio State.
From Cambo on YouTube, James from Maiden going off about Duke. It's bad enough that we have to hear him on WFNZ out in Charlotte. Now he's rambling on here. Get back in your mom's basement, James. Okay, that's who it was. I knew there was like a Charlotte area Duke guy that called in occasionally, so that's who it was yesterday that was cursing at you. From Corey, just sounds like a lot of teams in the playoffs had lost key guys, too many games. I mean, look, attrition is part of it. We see this with NC State moderators saying we got to check in on Gold. Rough day in the office. I don't know. I got to text Gold, I guess.
Live call.
Oh, a live call. Taking live calls?
Whoa.
On radio?
Whoa.
Hey, now. From Brandon. Saban was exactly right, though. It was ridiculous the amount of grief that Ryan Day was getting. They have finished no worse than 11-2 the last 4 years. Now we have a national championship. It would be different if he was losing to Michigan and going 8-4, 9-3, etc., which is below OSU standards. I'll just reiterate my point when it comes to that. Go look at Saban's record against their chief rival, Auburn, right? How would things be going for Alabama, regardless of how good they were, if they lost to Auburn 4 years in a row? How's that going to, I mean, everywhere is different, man. And that includes Ohio State. I mean, heck, let's talk about Carolina. We could talk about this with Carolina, NC State on a regional level. You talk about Dave Doran completely different. You talk about Mac Brown. This was Mac Brown's point to us at ACC kickoff last year. You flip the Carolina State game, we're talking about these programs completely different. So these rivalry games matter. Otherwise, what are we doing here? And that's the appeal of college athletics. If you just want to make it completely national, okay, well, then we have to start talking about these things differently. But that's not where we're at, because on the local level, on that regional level, those absolutely matter. Let's see, from Brant, that 0-1 Miami team. As Levitar put it in the 30 for 30 movie about them, the team was a nuclear absurdity. 38 draft picks on one roster. Yeah, man, it was off the charts. And from Spring Pro, I'm a State fan, but dang, Andrew Jones is a hell of a beat reporter, best in the business. Yeah, now Andrew's connected, man. He's sourced up. He's got his stuff. Andrew's going to tell you like it is, man. That's what I appreciate about Andrew.
Does good work. He's on the grind. He's on the grind too. Not like soft Brendan Marks, man, out there going, I can't write the same story over and over again. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about.
Poor Brendan. We're going to have to catch up with Brendan, man. We have to, you know what? Let's invite Brendan out to Longleaf Swine, drink some bourbon. And they got Blanton's at Longleaf Swine. They got a great brunch at Longleaf Swine. And I think by this weekend, you'll see the OG Flagg at Longleaf Swine. So go to
Did it come in?
It came in. I got it yesterday. So I'll
very nice.
I'll have to give it to Adam so we can put it up at the spot. In the meantime, check out their menus. You can do catering. You want to get out of the snow stuff. Who knows? They might have another snow sale. They did that snow sale a couple weeks ago. Real good deals on some drinks. So go to longleafswan.com to check out more. Maybe you're just like, yeah, man, I don't want to really do anything. I'm going to use this time snowed in and I don't know, smoke some meats. You know who's got them? Butcher's Markets. They got them. So go to butchersmarkets.com. They got what you need. Or maybe you just want to pop some ham biscuits in the oven, man. It's all good. And then, of course, our friends at O2 Fitness Clubs. More than a gym.
O2 Fitness, so much more than a gym.
Don't be like Giglio. Don't go try sledding with that bad neck.
Oh,
don't do it.
Sledding is how I ended up with the back surgery in 14.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
So instead, save your body. Go to o2fitnessclubs.com and go holler at our friends at Renew Physiotherapy.
Make some good choices.
Yes. Being old and getting on a flexible flyer, poor choice, even if it looks good for the content, and I might be doing it later today. Not the point. Make good choices. And go to o2fitnessclubs.com. Contact Renew Physiotherapy. Speaking of good choices, that's what Loop Nutrition's about too. Making sure that you are eating right to get your whole body to where you need it to be, because it's not just about working out. It's also what you are eating as well. So contact our friends at O2 Fitness Clubs. That's going to wrap it up for this remote edition of Ovies and Giglio. We will see you from Breeze Through, 5 o'clock. There just happens to be a hockey game up the street. Greg Wyshynski.
And a free gift.
And a free gift, the baby Blantons. So it's all there. We will see you for an OG Live tomorrow.